Today's sponsor of the Vision Quest podcast is 920 Hat Company. Leather patch hats are in, and 920 Hat Company is here to hook you up with your very own custom hat. All patches are lasered on top-grade genuine leather and on popular brand hats like Richardson and FlexFit. Whether you're looking to show off your business or want a one-of-a-kind hat for yourself, 920 Hat Company can do it all. All the hats are handcrafted right in the Fox Valley, but worn across America. With over 500 hats in stock, they guarantee fast turnaround times. Honestly, Liam, looking at these hats, solid, right?
Yeah, they're pretty. I like them.
I like that patch itself.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, one-of-a-kind stuff. I know his name's Trevor. He does great work. He's actually gotten I think we got a knit hat coming.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, we got that coming. So we're really excited to have these guys on board as a sponsor. So get down to check them out on Facebook. I believe they're on Instagram. Check them out, man. They got the best hats, I think, in the Fox Valley, if not in the state.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So get down to 920 Hat Company on social media and check them out. It was a sweet song. So, everybody, we're back. I haven't had an episode in a while, so I apologize. But I did have one's coming out on Sunday. Drew Nicks. You can move that all you want. Go ahead. Drew Nicks of the Red Clay Strays. That'll be on Sunday. And then I'm going to have your episode out Monday. Okay. I'm going to do like an episode blitz. Sunday there's going to be an episode, then Monday, then Tuesday, then Wednesday.
All right.
I think that'll be the end because then we got tournaments coming up. Everybody, I am speaking to a good friend of mine, comedian, announcer, right?
Announcer.
You are doing. Is that the official way to say it? Are you a sportscaster?
You can call it a public address announcer. I've done radio as well in the area. It's just everything. You're a man of many faces. You're a coach. You're a teacher. You are a good friend. You are a contributor to the community. I mean, we go out a lot. When we were in the comedy club, we went out a lot. So you contribute to the community quite a bit. Definitely did that.
Yeah. So we supported Oshkosh quite a bit. But his name is Nick Brandl. Everybody, I used to have the clapping button. I got rid of the clapping button though. But it's been a while. We haven't been face to face. I think in maybe a couple of years.
Yeah, easily.
But you still look like Nick Brandl.
I still do.
You still look like Nick and good old Nick from the comedy club, man. So where you come from, I'm not too unfamiliar with because Christina's cousin was she lived in Kellnersville, recently passed away, but over in the Manitowoc area. But now you're not from Manitowoc, are you? It's a town outside of Manitowoc, right?
Well, the address is technically Manitowoc.
Yeah,
but I was like 500 yards from going to Valders.
Oh, right on.
The line was, yeah. So I had the longest drive.
Yeah.
The bus ride was terrible.
the bus ride had to have been, you had a lot of scenery, a lot of cornfields, things like that. But
I saw enough of that.
But you lived on a farm, right?
I did.
You grew up on a farm.
Yep.
So you weren't just a kid that was hanging out doing nothing. Your dad put you guys to work, right?
100%.
Yeah. So what kind of, was it a milk farm?
It was a dairy farm, yeah.
Dairy farm? Okay. Wow. Okay, so you're up at 3, 4 a.m. helping dad sometimes.
Yeah.
Or all the time. Was that your summer?
Summers were pretty full with that, yeah.
Okay.
It was just, like you tell people, there's one of the bits in comedy I have was kids in second grade would be gone for a week, and I'm like, are they dead? It's like, no, they went on vacation. I'm like, I don't know what that means. We don't know what that.
We don't now. I definitely don't. But you guys, it's a whole different not knowing what that means because there's something going on. Something going on. If you guys didn't have something going on the farm, typically there's something family wise going on. I mean, I would assume you guys got birthday parties and all that other stuff when you're young. If you had time for that,
even if there was time for that, it was just kind of weird because like my grandpa on my dad's side and like a bunch of his brothers and sisters, and then my mom's family. I want to say there was 90% of us in like a 2.5 mile radius.
Oh my god!
So you're quasi-Amish.
Yeah.
Quasi-Amish.
Yeah. It was, I'm not going to call it a commune or anything, but no, we lived all so close to each other. So even then there wasn't reason to like travel to go.
Right. Well, because who knows? Your uncle probably fixed the wagon wheels on the other side, right?
Yeah. I mean, if it was anything, it was, the holidays and stuff, and we'd all get together and, the sheep's head table would be going and stuff like that. But
how sweet is that, though? You got everybody kind of right in a tight little area.
Yeah.
Like especially having your cousins close by. I mean, so you weren't necessarily, I get, for lack of a better term, like lonely as a kid, right? You had cousins coming over or friends still coming over, things like that. But you obviously got into sports, right? I mean, was there time for you to be in sports?
There was time, because my dad was also on the volunteer fire department for one of the small.
Oh man. Okay.
And they had their little youth baseball for, all the ones that were around there.
Yeah.
And so, that's where I started out. I mean, I watched all the time and, Brewers, Packers, stuff like that. And my birthday was around the home opener for the Packers. And
nice.
We had season tickets and stuff. So, all of that stuff started early.
Yeah.
But as far as like organized stuff, baseball was probably the first one where I started in like, second or third grade.
Nice. Okay. Well, and we were young enough too, where, I mean, like in my brain instantly went to like travel ball.
Yeah.
Like instantly. Cause that's what we know now. That's what you see is these kids walking around with the $400 gear package and $600 shoes and stuff like that. But we had teams that stuck around town. I'm sure they still do now. I mean, Kaukaunaa's got a decent youth program that goes on, but that's really, unless you were playing for Marco's.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Remember that name?
Yeah, I do.
Marco's and teams like that. I mean, maybe those teams would go out of state once in a while, but those guys all just went around the Fox Valley.
Yeah.
Whereas OIB stayed right in Oshkosh, stuff like that. What did you guys have out by you?
It was just
the fire department. Was that kind of thing?
That's what it was kind of based around, you know, and any place that had a picnic during the summer, a firefighter's picnic, whether
game.
Newton or Valders or Whitelaw or anything like that. Those were, Reedsville. Those were the teams that we, would go and play. Cleveland. Yeah. That's where I learned of Cleveland, Wisconsin before I learned of Cleveland, Ohio. That's where that started.
Oh man. Yeah. Ours is cleaner though.
Yeah.
Our Cleveland's cleaner. I can attest to that. That's for sure. So when you started, getting into baseball, were you ever to a point where you're getting to the, like travel ball, like we talked about? Did you wind up doing that type of baseball?
I didn't do any of that. And like, even as it got to high school, I played all my baseball during the summer because spring, once I got to high school, I was more involved in golf. By that time.
Okay. So, well, I knew you do. Obviously I know you do now. I didn't know you did back in high school though.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So when did that started, like freshman year?
Yeah, when I was in junior high, because it was a guy my sister was dating at the time. She was in college at UW Manitowoc, and
nice.
He lived in Two Rivers, and then one day he's like, "Oh, I'm going golfing."
Yeah,
he's like, "You want to come along?" I'm like, "I've never done it before. It's I've watched it on TV. It looks kind of boring."
Watching it is very boring.
Yeah,
yes.
Until you get to our age now. Now I'm like, "Oh, Sunday, sit down, let's watch it."
Recliner.
and he took me out to this course in Two Rivers that I don't think exists anymore, but and we golfed, and he's like, "That was actually pretty good." Like, "You're sure that's your first time golfing?" I'm like, "Yeah, nice. It doesn't seem to,
just make sure
it's easier in baseball. Baseball's moving.
Yeah, right.
Golfball's just sitting there.
Yeah.
Just by physics, it should be easier, right?
Right. It should be.
Yeah, and that's how golf started. So
nice. So now that was a good juxtapose for sports, because golf was in a different time of season than baseball was, right?
In the high school, they were both in spring.
Oh, were they?
Yeah. So I can't remember. So I kind of had to like make a choice, and I'm like, I don't know. I get to miss more school for golf. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, free golf.
Yeah, and plus it's free golf.
I played for the golf team in Oshkosh, and that was, I'll tell you what, at North we had Muni. Yeah. It was Muni passes.
Yeah.
And that's gone. That's way gone.
No, that's a whole we'll probably get to that eventually in this podcast.
Oshkosh. Yeah, I'm sure you will. Oh, I'm sure we will.
Now you're getting my blood pressure up.
So we wound up leaving off with golf here. Where did that wind up taking? Did you play that all through high school then?
Yeah, I played golf all through high school.
Letter? Did you 4-year letter?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah. And then Oshkosh University, UWO, had a men's golf team, but they stopped that in like 94. And I graduated high school in 96. So there wasn't a men's golf team to go to there. And
damn it.
Like I got like, and this is, think about recruiting now and think about recruiting in like 1995.
Oh my God.
I mean, I got a few letters from like Division II schools. I remember one was like Eastern New Mexico State. And
okay.
I'm like, no.
No, we want to be in the brambles and the.
I'm not going to do that.
Imagine what the courses were like there. Ew. No way.
Just dry. Just yellow all the time.
Rocks and road runners going around. Yeah, no thanks.
So yeah, I mean, as far as collegiate sports go, I wasn't, that wasn't going to be in the cards for anything.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, a week into college, that turns into broadcasting, getting involved in sports that way.
So was that something that you had interest in though, like when you were younger, as far as, like broadcasting, or not even that, but I guess entertainment in general, because that obviously we're going to lead into that a little more, but anything like that spark your interest in high school? Yeah.
I mean, that was always fun. I remember at County Stadium, the Brewers, I mean, you and a buddy could go and do like an inning.
Yeah.
You could call an inning.
Yeah.
And
really?
They tape it for you. Yeah, it was way up in left field, up in the corner, and you have a VHS recording, and you just call the game for I don't know how much it was, and I'm like, I did that once in high school, and it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
And when I was going to go into UWO, I was going to do journalism.
Okay.
I was going to do print journalism.
Yep.
And then one day, I had a class in a building, and there was a sign up thing to do the football game.
Okay.
So we're doing the football game on TV this weekend for the Titan TV. And I'm like, I didn't know we had a television station here. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I signed up, and freshman, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And we get there, there's a meeting the day before, and they're like, okay, this person's doing this person's doing this. We're going to meet at this time to go. And they're like, if you can be there at 7 a.m, we're going to get the cables going and do all that kind of stuff and all the grunt work and that. And then you can just sort of learn the ropes and everything.
This is enough for me right here.
Yeah.
Imagine pulling those cables here. No thanks.
So the morning of, Saturday morning, there's the game at Titan Stadium.
Yeah.
And we get there early, and all of a sudden at like 10 o'clock, the producer who was doing this was like, on the phone with someone, and like, so you're not going to make it. What's it going to get? You said you were going to be here. I'm going.
Oh man.
And it was the guy that was going to do the sideline reporting.
Oh,
so they had a camera and they had the microphone down there.
Damn.
Yeah. And so she comes to me and it's like, do you have any experience doing anything like this, camera stuff? I'm like, yeah, of course I've done that. I could do that. Total lie.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
We go down there and they're like, okay, this is what it's going to do. They give me these sheets and it's like, here's your, this is what we're going to do. So they'll tell you, the person in the camera says, okay, in a minute, we're coming to you with this. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I can definitely do that. Do you have a shirt and tie? I'm like, yeah, I can go get a shirt and tie. I got a button down shirt and like a Mickey Mouse tie.
Just got that laying around?
That's the only tie I had back in my dorm.
That's awesome.
So I'm like, all right.
Hey, ladies.
So they did that a couple times, and after the game, there was like interviews with some of the players, and she was like, wow, you did a great job. We do this,
and you just handled all of it, like you just talked to all the guys. And,
because it was just like,
So in your head, were you just thinking like, well, I watched what's whoever on any Monday night game?
Yeah,
was that kind of what you're basing what you did it off of, or I just went with it?
Yeah, because it's just sort of you're on the field and you're looking at this stuff. You have a different view of what they have way up in the press box. And you can hear coaches on the sidelines. So
right.
You can, when they go to the field and say, down to so-and-so for this, and defensive coordinator.
Yeah. It helps you're smart too. Like it helps that you pick up on, those things as far as, so here's the deal. Like that makes it so amazing to be able to just do that. You're retaining all that information. And then number one, I can imagine you at the end of the game going through a whole game, and you can Rolodex into the back of your brain at some point. Oh, I remember when Coach Schmidt said this and blah, blah, blah. And like, you can pull that up.
Yeah.
So you were able to just do that, just free fire right there, first try.
It went well because
awesome.
I mean, they went, there's halftime. They go into, it's a smaller locker. It was a smaller locker room then underneath the stands at Titan Stadium. And, they came back and the head coach was Ron Cardo,
Yeah.
who was a legend there and was like drafted by the 49ers and stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, he doesn't know who the crap I am.
Right.
And as he's walking by and I'm like, I said, we're not going to be live, but can I ask you a couple questions? And he's just like, sure. You know, and I'm like, okay. So, you know, Brian Tomalak, you know, early interception, but you went back to the passing, you know,
Yeah.
and then they came back down and I'm like, okay, doesn't seem too hard.
So did you understand the plays back then too? Like, were you kind of, so are you a statistician?
Oh, don't even start getting into that now. I am a numbers geek beyond all.
It's just funny because there's the one guy that I talk about, like we have like a sit around on the table. He's a Wisconsin grappler. He's from Indiana, but he deals with like rankings.
Yeah.
So he's like a numbers and stats guy too. So like he may not be able to remember every single, but he can remember certain matches from like, you know, 20 years ago. Like, no, I remember this. And like,
yeah,
but he can pull random information up that there's just numbers and numbers and numbers. Whereas you're able to break something down like during an interview, as far as like a play, because you understand all of that. And you understood it at that point already too.
Yeah. Numbers and stats like that. This is great how this is all tying in.
Yeah.
You go back to, you know, like when I was growing up.
Yeah.
You know, I had my cousin Chris was 2 years older than me. He's not a sports guy. You know, he was more into like, you know, cars and stuff like that. And he was a little into sports, but, you know, whenever we would hang out, I'm like, you want to throw? Do you want to, you know, so I would literally, like, I'd be outside. I'd play a football game with myself.
Okay.
And I'd have a notebook and I'd write down stats and stuff. And I'd do this.
Wow.
I would throw the ball. I would throw a tennis ball up against the barn.
Yeah.
You know, and like, okay.
It hit this way this many times and I caught it this way this many times.
Yeah. Or I would just make up stats for like a season or something, you know.
Wow.
And I still have some of those notebooks and that, you know, that's where that started. And that really helped when I got into coaching.
Yes. Very much so.
Yeah.
So you got into the announcing thing in college.
Yeah.
Which then led to, because what were you originally going to college for?
It was going to be journalism.
Okay. Yep. Journalism, written journalism, right?
And then I switched it to the radio, TV, film.
What did it, that must have just felt natural. I mean,
yeah.
After doing comedy with you and stuff like that, like it just seems more natural for you to speak.
Yeah.
Than it is to write. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not that you can't write or anything like that, but it's more the flow and like what you're, you know, what you're into. So when you started your college career out with doing announcing and doing whatever, I mean, obviously I know the whole group of you guys hung out together and had a great college, I would say, experience. Yeah. As far as the group of friends you had, you're pretty regular with each other and you still talk to each other. What type of experiences did you have going into college as that type of career? Because we actually had a young man on here, Lucas Peters, who is looking at doing the same kind of thing. Yeah. And he did a great job with his interview. But what were you looking for to... What were you looking to get out of it once you, like, were your goals to be, I'm going to be on NBC, or did you have a more individualistic goal? Like, I want to start my own thing and do this. You know, everyone is always looking at, I want to go to, ESPN or Fox Sports and things like that. And you go, we would go to like one, we did help do broadcast a Sunday night baseball game at the old Metrodome through ESPN. Oh, really? We got to go there and, do that. And nice. You talk to people, and you get to talk to the play-by-play guys, and working at radio stations down in Milwaukee and stuff, and doing that. Okay, yeah. And they'll just tell you, like, you could be at a huge university like that, and you could be the number one person doing that all 4 years. You are so far behind where you need to be to do like national level stuff, right? Yeah, sure. I mean, it's just like sports. Yeah. You could get to, you could graduate, you could go to a local radio station, and you could do, the high school stuff that's going around here. And I mean, you could make a good living and do that kind of stuff, or all of a sudden someone sees you and then you go to, Milwaukee, and you could do it that way. So my aspirations were just, I want to get as much experience as I can. Yep. I want to have as much fun as I can. I want to do as many different sports as I can. Yeah. Build up that resume. I want to do radio as well as, TV kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And see where that takes me. And then coaching came along. So we're just going to kind of roll into that a little bit. So when you were in school.
Yep.
You weren't doing intramurals or anything like that.
Nope.
You're trying. You're doing your school thing. You guys are having fun. What type of interactions were you getting? Like, what was your oddest type of broadcast? What type of sport or event? What was the oddest thing that you did while you were in college?
Oh boy, we did.
Lucas, pay attention.
The one that kind of threw us off a little bit was we did a swim meet.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously we get the sport, but it's like, yeah, that's.
Mm-hmm. And it's just not announcing. It's so much different with like the cameras and stuff because I mean, they could do a football game with 1, 2, 3, 4 cameras maybe.
Yeah.
You could do it that way. Swimming, you have to have, there's 8 lanes.
Yeah.
There's the one that's going to point down that sees everything. But then when you're doing like the introductions and stuff and doing that, so you have to alternate, there's more cameras that are involved and to announce and make it exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know the athletes. I don't know.
You almost have to bounce like the entire time from athlete to athlete to athlete to athlete to kind of, because one might be ahead and the other one's got to do this. That'd be exhausting.
Yeah.
That would be extremely exhausting.
And if you don't do homework beforehand, hopefully they have the heat sheets out so okay, and in this lane is this kid from River Falls, and this lane, and pronunciations and all that kind of stuff.
That's crazy shit. That's taxing when you think about it. It's like if you sat around and waited for action, you'd be waiting forever.
Mm-hmm.
But to make the action is a lot of work in that one.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot of work.
And then there's the flip side of that where the toughest one I've ever had to do on radio was a hockey game.
Really?
High school hockey game.
Paced.
It's fast paced.
Yeah.
You miss a number, you get a little bit behind, sometimes you're skipping passes here and there. Forget that one. He passed it there,
Yeah, all over the place. Man, that's crazy. So as you're growing through some of that, and I don't say going, I say growing through some of it, because I mean, obviously you're learning lessons as you go along. You guys are still in college. Where were some of the things where you noticed, because you're seeing new things, what were some things that you took away that you're like, I'm never going to do that again, or or not even again, I'm never going to do that. Like they're not going to catch me doing that.
Oh boy.
I think Pearl Jam called it the creation of no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably criticism of teams, coaches' decisions, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So the game happens on Saturday, and then Monday we're back in the radio station, and you got to be careful with that kind of stuff, because you might not think they're listening.
Oh, sure. Yeah. You got some personalities.
Like, UWO early on, the football team, my first 3 years there.
Yeah.
Offensively, they could score. Defensively was kind of rough, but they couldn't kick extra points.
Oh, really?
I remember one game they gave up. They
had a great soccer team. How do they not have that?
Well, they gave up an all divisions record number of rushing yards in a game to River Falls.
Yeah.
I think they gave up something near like 500 or 600 rushing yards in the game. Like River Falls, we're just going to run. And both teams scored 7 touchdowns, and UWO lost.
Oh my God.
49-45 because they missed extra points.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah. So that happened week after week. And one time, we got on the air on Monday and we're like, oh man, it's just so rough to call this game. And it's like, what we need to do is we need to have some sort of like giveaway or something where we get someone to come out there, just pick someone out of the stands to come and kick an extra point, because it's not. And one of the assistant coaches happened to be like listening
during the game.
No, like during the Monday broadcast on the radio. When we're like going over the game from the weekend and criticizing everything.
God.
And then all of a sudden we're getting like emails and they're talking to professors and stuff. And I'm like, my God, I'm 19 years old. What are we doing here?
You were in so deep, dude.
Yeah.
You're so deep.
Yeah. I mean, in interviews and stuff like that, you have to find that medium of, asking a question that could make them angry or, hey, big game coming up tonight against the rivalry. What's your plan?
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. I've had a couple. I think I've had a couple where I've asked questions. I was like, man, I really shouldn't have asked that. I really shouldn't have done that one. But they, some people can take it well. Some people can handle, well, yeah, you might have something there or whatever. But yeah, some people can't handle that shit. No. Especially when they're in charge of shit. Then they make it look, then it almost looks like they can't be in charge of shit. But it happens. Hey, it happens. And honestly, when you're passionate about something, and obviously you guys were fans of like your sports teams at your school, you know, and you knew which teams were you guys had your interests in football, basketball. I mean, you guys were the average type college kids that were watching all the popular sports, and you were a numbers guy, so it's like you guys like to put 2 and 2 together and see maybe some of your friends win or whatever. So yeah, I can see that. I mean, you're passionate about something, so why not call it out? So did you learn the ups and downs, and after a while the coach is like, all right, you're good, not a problem?
Yeah. I mean, for some sports it took a little bit longer. Yeah. Like when we got there, the women's basketball team the year before had just won the national championship. Yeah. Kathy Bennett was the coach, and she moved, so there was a new coach, and the new coaching staff just treated us so well. Yeah. The 4 years we were there. Nice. Unbelievably so well. Yeah. Other sports, it was tough to, get interviews and stuff like that. Yeah. But, most of the coaches there, I mean, at a D3 university like that, even if it's just, the school radio station or stuff, they want to get that word out there. Right.
For sure. Yeah. Well, and I think too, like what I did the other, with the whole image thing with kids, like, I spoke my mind, and I had a conversation with Mel, but at the same time though, too, it's just like, you can't expect something to not be spoken about. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that especially, and you've been in coaching. I mean, you get it, and you understand that there are going to be the dudes sitting in the recliner calling the plays. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you guys know there are those guys out there, but there are sometimes people that do see something. You're like, yeah, you're right. But you don't always want to tell them that though. Right. I mean, as a coach, you're not going to sit there and give up and just be like, oh, you got me. You got me, man. Yeah. Sorry, So
never thought of that.
It's a conversation worth having though, just to at least, just kind of say, hey, guys missed 4 times in a row. Yeah. Let's fix something. It's maybe a little bit. So as you're going through college now, your junior, senior year, things like that, like where are you? Are you just kind of you're doing your thing? Were you getting interest in like going to somewhere to do announcing? Were you're talking about coaching? What's happening with the coaching thing?
Well, coaching started out my freshman year.
Your freshman year?
I had absolutely no intention of coaching. I had never thought about it. Yeah. It has, it just wasn't on my mind. Yeah. And a friend of mine was coaching, he was in the RTF program as well, and he was coaching like 8th grade basketball somewhere. Like
that sounds really awesome.
Like Wyowega or something. Awesome. Yeah, and he's getting into coaching. He's like, oh yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's cool. Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah. And we had an assignment for the sports show that we did on Titan TV. Yeah. There was a camera person and a reporter assigned to go to all the high schools and get a package on the winter sports. Okay. Yep. I had, ironically enough, I had Oshkosh North wrestling. So I had to go.
I'm so sorry.
So I had to go with, someone with a camera, and we went and we did an interview. Yeah. Now my package was done. And then a day later, someone else is like, oh, I was supposed to go do Oshkosh West girls basketball. I can't do it now. Can you go? Like, yeah, I can do that on that day. That's totally fine. Yep. And I went there, and it was on a Tuesday. The Packers had played. We had a Sunday night radio sports show. The Packers were playing Tampa Bay that night.
Here's that Rolodex, folks, I was talking about. See, it's pulling it out right now.
The Packers were playing Tampa Bay that night, and I said, if Tampa Bay beats Green Bay on Sunday Night Football, I'll shave my head. And Tampa Bay beat them, so I had to bick my head. So now I'm walking into.
That's awesome.
I'm walking into high school. With a camp. This weird looking guy, and
campus creep.
And I do interviews,
Yeah.
And we get everything done. And I noticed that, and back then, boys freshman basketball was from the start of the season until about Christmas time.
Yeah.
And then girls freshman basketball was from January to the end of the season.
Yep.
It was split.
Okay. Yep.
I don't know. It was so weird. So there was only the varsity and JV practicing, and there was like 28 kids between the two teams.
Yep.
And like 2 coaches, no assistant. I'm like, that seems kind of weird. So I was thinking, and I just asked the head coach. I'm like, again, total lie, but I'm like, coaching is something I've been interested. You want some help? I got to, play it and everything. Yeah, okay. Yeah. She's like, well, the season's already started, and you have to be a volunteer and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's totally fine. I got classes and stuff. Give me a schedule. We'll see what goes on.
Yeah.
That's how it started.
Wow. Basketball.
Yeah.
So basketball was the start. So out of interest, okay, out of curiosity here, where did you like coaching? What were you thinking about coaching before you started coaching? Because you told them you've been thinking about coaching,
but I hadn't. It hadn't been.
Okay, it was just at that time you just kind of thinking about it.
It was with my buddy that had been talking about this and having fun. I'm like, maybe that would be fun. I've with coaches I've had in the past, they've had impact on me. Maybe this could be something that's fun. So
you went through. You obviously you weren't. You was unpaid, but whatever the position is. But as you're going through like the next year, what are some of the requirements? So I mean, obviously I've always had interest in coaching, but what do they require of like an assistant coach? Like, what's your job?
So, well, as far as the job goes, the first week I was just getting the lay of the land and, making sure I'm there on time, getting names down, stuff like that, seeing what the coach was trying to do and just trying to get comfortable.
Yeah.
And, she would have me help out with the JV sometime. But and the head coach at that time, she's retired now, but she holds like the single season scoring record at UWO.
Okay.
Women's basketball.
Okay. Yep.
Hell of an athlete.
Yeah.
Pretty gruff personality. So second week, end of the first week, start of the second week, I'm getting, okay, I'm seeing what they're doing here. They're going,
yeah.
And they run through a play and it doesn't go well and this and that. And we had the tallest girl on the team, who by the way was 3 days older than me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I said, Shelly, if they're not getting you the ball down in the block, we'll just go up to the elbow, set a screen.
Yeah. Right.
Try to open some stuff up and then pop back down and we'll run back through it.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Terry, the head coach, the first time I saw the look, and the girls were quiet too. They're like, uh-oh. And Terry, the head coach, looks and says, if I want Shelly to set a goddamn high screen, I will tell Shelly to set a goddamn high screen. Okay? I don't think I talked for like another year and a half.
3 or 3.
Then I'm like, okay, doing the stats and stuff, getting all that in the next couple of years.
I like notebooks. Guys.
So that was like my first year and a half of coaching. After that, I'm like, oh my God, this person's going to kill me. And those first few years, we were terrible.
Really?
Oh my God. We were like, my second year, we won 1 game.
Yeah.
And
man,
it was a last second. It was at home against Kaukauna. It was a last second length of the court pass. Girl, Jamie Ospuro caught it. She made a left-handed layup. She hadn't made a left-handed layup in her life before that. I'm pretty sure she's never made a left-handed layup in her life since that moment.
It's a magic moment.
Yeah. And that was.
Wow. And you beat Kaukauna.
Yeah.
Hey.
And, and it was after 2 years. After 2 years, I'm like, okay, now I'm getting to junior college, apartment, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was going to be like, oh, that was a fun 2 years. It was a cool experience.
Right.
And after that season was done, Terry said, if you want to stick around because we're going to be good.
You're like,
and my thought was, we can't get much worse. We were 1-20 this year,
Yeah.
She ended up being right. So
wow,
I stuck with it, and
so
many years with that.
Obviously, you were coaching basketball.
Yep.
So that's nice. She never comes down here.
There's a new person.
Ever. My dog wound up trouncing her way down. This is so weird. I've never had this dog come down here during a podcast. Ever. Like I sit down here and work. Hey. Oh my God. Anyways, so ADD, yep. Squirrel. So when you're I don't even remember where I was now. I lost my train of thought.
I'm talking about coaching, basketball.
Yeah. So where did you wind up getting into other sports? And so you're talking about maybe 1 or 2 years of coaching, thought it would end, but then obviously you carried on. Was this just because I know you coach softball? Yep. Right. And did you coach golf too?
I started golf probably about, what is it, 9 years ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
It's such a short time ago.
Yeah.
I'm just saying everything you do, you it's longevity. So when did you start getting, it's so weird. When did you start getting into, like softball? When did that pop up?
Softball, there was an opening for the freshman head coach or the freshman coach position.
Yeah.
And, I knew the head coach, he was a math teacher there, and, he had worked some of the basketball games and stuff.
Yeah.
And then there was like I'll say a staff gathering after school on Friday one time.
Was this after you graduated college that you wanted to coach softball?
This would have been my junior year.
Okay. All right. So we're timeline. Okay. Yeah. All right. Good.
And, we were the old Golf Central.
Oh yeah.
We were out there, and then all of a sudden he started, and he's like, "Oh, you like coaching basketball?" Yeah. And he's like, "Well, what do you know about softball?" I'm like, "Well, I played baseball for all this time." He's like, "Well, we're looking for freshman softball coach. If you're interested, come and talk to me one day."
Yeah.
And so I went in and talked to him in his room, and like I didn't expect it. He got a softball bat out of his closet in his room.
Yeah.
And said, "Show me a softball swing."
Whoa.
And I'm like,
did you know a softball swing?
Well, I knew it wasn't a baseball swing.
Obviously, if he's asking, that direct of a question about it.
I thought in my head, I'm like, I'm just going to do a baseball swing, but make it real quick and compact,
Yeah.
So, I did that, and, he was asking some questions, and when he got to pitching, I'm like, I'm going to tell you right now, I have no idea about fast pitch. I don't know how to. If you ask me to throw an underhand fast pitch right now, I would not be able to do it. Right. I don't have that expertise.
I don't either. Yep. Nope.
And he's like, "Well, we got a couple coaches on, pitching coaches on staff, but if you want to do it,
nice.
We'll fill out the contract and we'll start by doing that."
So there you go. So okay, this is where I get kind of turned around with a lot of like rules as far as the coaching rules. And I asked Mel Dow a little bit about it when I talked to him the other day. But so you're a student. Still a student, right? Yep. While you're coaching at a high school, right? Which it's not an oddity to have that. So it's not that's not the odd part.
Yep.
To me, so because you're an assistant coach, right? And then you're the freshman baseball coach, right? The freshman team, softball.
Yeah.
When you're a student working there, are you always unpaid? Like, how does that work?
You can get paid as long as you got to go through the normal background check type of stuff.
Sure. Just like any other coaching.
But since you're not on staff there,
yes.
Back then there was I had to go to UW Stevens Point.
Okay.
For like a Friday night and all day Saturday for this coaching education course.
Okay. And so I've been through stuff like that for soccer.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Okay. Yeah. So now you've gotten your coaching kind of careers, I guess, started.
Yeah.
With a good tenure, starting in college and helping out in college, and then growing with those programs as they went along. Because, like you said, basketball wound up getting better. Was softball kind of in the same area where you kind of working? You seem like a developmental type of guy. Obviously, because you're able to work with a freshman team, and obviously knowing the track record of Oshkosh West softball team wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
So obviously you were able to develop some kids and turn some, sometimes they're scrubby girls that are playing softball for the first time, and turn them into something. So, I mean, what was that like from that aspect of coaching? Because you were an assistant coach with a coach who has a system, and has things the way that he wants it. And as a freshman coach, you're obviously balancing certain things off of what the head coach wants you to do, as those kids are coming up. But you're still able to develop kids. What was that like for you to be able to kind of take them from the beginning?
To start with freshmen is a lot different because it's freshmen.
Yeah.
That's all you get.
Right.
Now they have like JV1, JV2 where you can move them around. They're freshmen.
They're freshmen.
They're coming out of middle school and they're still anchored in middle school.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun. You know what the head coach wants. Some years you get a little bit of talent.
Yeah.
You get anyone that's too good, they're gone. They're on JV. Yeah. I don't want you to be too good.
Easy. Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes.
There were a couple seasons I didn't really have a pitcher. It was just the best athlete.
Really?
Because there were 3 pitchers on varsity, and they would use 1 or 2 on. And if there were only 5 in the system that knew how to pitch,
that's rough. That's rough.
You ever see like 20 walks in a 7-inning game? Because I've seen it before.
My God!
But it's just kind of fun to see them because these are kids that again, you move level to level.
Yeah,
it's a decimal percentage of the kids that are going to move on, right?
Right.
In high school, it's a little more, but going from high school to college to pros, it's just such a small number. Some of these kids, this is going to be the only time in high school they play sports.
Yep.
They're not going to move on from freshmen.
Nope.
You got some kids that, they didn't know how to throw.
Yeah.
They've never held a bat before. They did T-ball 4 years ago and now their friend's going out. So I want to go.
Yeah. And it's tough. I mean, it's especially when you're going through your youth, just a portion of it and then not either being good at something. And so, but that's gotta be rough as a coach though, too. I mean, aside from the athlete, because you're constantly on an uphill battle.
Yeah.
And not even so much a battle. Obviously, you enjoy doing it, so there's some type of a fruit there for you. But it's a grind, and year to year, you just don't know what you're going to get. And then, like you said, you're dealing with a varsity team that may need someone. If someone's injured, they got to pull another person here. A lot of moving around. And I kind of heard some other coaches talking about that stuff too, with with football and everything too. But when you're learning how to develop kids, because I mean you're still a kid yourself, doing this stuff. So learning how to develop these kids, and I remember coaching some 13-year-olds coming out of high school, and I was coaching with Megan. I always forget her last name, fresh out of high school, and it was just different coaching kids that were. You almost feel like a big brother, kind of big sister kind of thing, where when you're coaching, you're just like, come on, man. Come on. How hard is this? Like, just calm down.
Yeah.
But in reality, there's a psychology to it, like trying to work with kids like that. And so where does that take you education wise when you start developing what you want to do for a living? That's got to change. That had to change the trajectory a little bit of what you wanted to do, just dealing with kids. You know what I'm saying?
And, and being in that school setting.
Yep.
And stuff like that. But, going back to that first couple of years of basketball, the varsity team for the first couple of years were terrible. And then one year, a group of freshmen came up.
Yep.
They were pretty talented.
Yeah.
They were better than our varsity kids.
Really?
And they were. And the head coach kept them together.
Yeah.
On JV for a year.
Nice.
Because if we're going to be 2-19, and we bring these kids up and we're 7-14, what's the difference?
Right.
Let these kids play together.
Yep. Develop.
And the JV coach, he had played at UW lacrosse. He's a good guy. He was an old school type of coach too.
Yep.
But I think that year the other really good JV team was Fond du Lac.
Yeah.
And they were going to play each other for the second time, and they're keeping he's like, we're tied with them in the conference and stuff. And that week in practice, he was getting on them pretty good.
Yeah.
And Terry, the head coach, awesome. Afterwards, came up and said, these are young. Remember, these are still freshmen.
They're kids.
They're still kids. I know they're good.
Yeah.
I know you have a team that's better than mine this year. And she pointed up at the wall where like the conference championship banners are. And she looked at him and said, when you see a JV conference championship banner up there, let me know. And that stuck with me because there isn't,
just not.
If you're worried about, winning like that at the freshman level, freshman softball, I can tell you a number of times where it was, oh my God, we got the lead. It's the last inning. It's 7-6. These two kids haven't played yet.
Yep.
They're going to get to play.
Right. Yeah. And that's what it's all about.
And the other kids are going to be like, oh, we have a chance to win. But I'm like, it doesn't matter. That's not what we're here for.
Yeah. That's what they're there for.
Yeah.
You guys get to there, you can worry about that. But right now it's about getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that gets lost.
Yeah.
I mean, the parents lose that too. You know what I'm saying? You got to talk. We talk about that a lot on here. A lot, dude. Because I was quasi one, like, I mean, there were times where, I felt like there were certain things that weren't going, the way that they should. But at the same point, though, too, like I played at a high level. Like I understand how those coaches are feeling, but at the same time, though, too, I also know some of those coaches don't give a shit.
Yeah,
it's not. There's no magic to this formula. These people are still assholes out there, and some of them coach.
Yeah,
and that's
no doubt
how it goes. Because it's just everyday people. But you seem to be surrounded by people that had a vested interest in the kids and how they developed. It wasn't just lost in the wins and losses, which I think a lot of parents, get concerned about as far as, well, my kid should get time. But I'm also, I'm one of those parents that's like, well, maybe your kid should get better. Yeah. Maybe bring him to practice when he's supposed to be there. How about that? But there are, like you said, some kids are there and they're not going to leave. Yeah. They're just, there's certain things that Liam's not going to play baseball.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be surprised if he could hit a baseball, but he can wrestle really well.
Yes,
he can wrestle really well, but I'm not going to be like, why isn't he playing for the Titans right now in football? Like, he should be doing that. It's a lot of realistic situations are in front of you when you're coaching, when you can see a kid develop and get better, and you can tell a parent, hey, if this is something they're interested in, you should take them to this, you should get them involved in this. Because a lot of coaches, like, I don't know what it was like for you in high school, but I don't remember Coach Gunther Engelman running around writing letters to any colleges for kids to play soccer somewhere, no. Like, it wasn't happening.
No.
So the more the parents get involved, the better it can be. But it seems like there's never a level head, like, all the time. Like, have you ever had a team where it's just, you didn't have to worry about parents?
For a couple of years with the girls basketball team, yeah.
Okay. But was that the couple of years where all the girls knew each other and played together?
They were on there, and we were really, really good.
Really good.
We were really good.
Right. But that's probably because everybody knew each other and they're comfortable with each other.
That does a part of it.
Yep.
Winning does cure things a lot of the time.
Sure does.
Too. When you.
But I can tell you the flip side of that. You get too many big heads in a room, they'll start declining together, and not everybody likes a headache, and someone starts bitching about the other one. But with coaching and the balance that you guys had, what was the dynamic between, like, that you kind of saw as far as the kids developing and what they had when you started coaching versus what it is now? You notice a big difference?
Yeah, I notice a big difference just because of the myriad of things that go on during the summer.
Okay. You think it's grown exponentially for the sports that you're in?
It has. That was part of the reason I got out of basketball.
Yeah. Was it too much?
It was just, it's, so many kids playing. I saw so many kids, 3-sport athletes.
Yeah.
And it started to dwindle. And then all of a sudden it's, we have a basketball tournament. Here's the schedule for the summer that we're giving you at the beginning of May.
Yeah.
Take a look at it.
Yeah.
If things don't work out, if you have, another one, we're not saying you have to be at every single one of these.
Yeah.
Because we know you're doing anything. It's your summer.
Yeah.
You're a kid.
Right.
You play volleyball too.
Right. Yep.
But if it comes down to, we have 4 games at a tournament down in Waukesha.
Yeah. And
you're telling me, I can't go because I have volleyball practice, then we're going to have some problems, If there's both matches that weekend and you pick volleyball, sure. Yeah. Just when it happens in 2 weeks, pick basketball. We're not saying you have to do that.
Right.
But it just started to get so many different things for kids, and we pay for these tournaments, and all of a sudden we got to call the school the day before and back out, and that's
Ouch.
not a good look. And
that's not. Yeah. No. Do the parents, obviously the parents are the responsible ones, getting the kids there, taking places, things like that. But do you find yourself noticing that as time has gone on, the parents in as far as the coach's perspective, the parents have gotten worse and not just because of the parents are who they are, but like, let's talk about the level that the kids are playing at though, too. You know, like you said, a lot of these kids are individualizing. They're playing a single sport more, and they're sticking to one sport. Are you noticing that the intensity of the parents' level has picked up more because of that type of thing?
In certain aspects, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
and it's a money thing. I mean, every parent says, I put $3,000 a year into this and blah blah blah. And well, you chose to. You chose to do that for your kid.
Did you see my kid during that Chicago tournament this summer? He played those 3 games and did what? Well, first of all, you paid that AAU team or whatever to do that, and second of all, we saw it, but that was the sea level tournament or whatever. Yeah. They're doing that there. They come here. It's, we could say, we would say, come to practice and watch, Yeah. It's a different type of thing. Yep. We never closed parents out of practice. Yep. We said, if you want to come and watch, as long as you let us do, we'll talk afterwards. Yeah. Just come and watch and see.
Yeah. Get an idea of what's going on. Don't just drop your kid off and drive away.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those parents, like, I would say probably until like 3 years ago or so, like when Liam was finally like 8th grade, I only watched like the last half hour of practice. Mm-hmm. Only because I have to coach him still. Yeah. So I have to have an idea of like what he's working on or what he's doing or whatever. That's literally all it's for. Yeah. Otherwise, I don't want to know anymore. Because that's the level they're at, right? Yeah. They're adult enough and should know at this point. You go to practice, you're there for a reason. I don't typically. There's only been social reasons why I've spoken my voice. Mm-hmm. I have never told a coach that was a horrible call. Why aren't you putting my kid in? As a matter of fact, last year, it was team state, and we were wrestling Marshfield, and Liam had lost to the kid from the 160 from Marshfield, and we were like, oh, we wonder if he'll get a rematch, be able to kind of square away. Was it what we wanted?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, was what we wanted. Are you kidding? Did he get it? No. Because it's not what the team needed, right?
Yep.
Was the wind kind of taken out of me? Yeah, a little bit. But we were about to win a 3rd team state in a row. Mm-hmm. So like, I, as an athlete, can understand calls, like a coach, like someone would say to me, oh, how come he told him to take down instead of going neutral or whatever? I'm like, I have no idea. Like, they work on stuff all the time. I have no clue. Would I have done it? No, but they may know more than I do. I mean, they work with them every day. So I don't question coaches, and I think a lot of parents just kind of throw the ownership, like kind of flag too much, like, hey, ooh, I paid the bill, kind of thing. Well, then maybe you should start your own club. Maybe you should start your own team and play, and honestly, I started a dual team there. We put some kids together through the state and take them somewhere, but it was to get those kids better. That's all, because all these kids wrestled together, and like those 4 girls or 5 girls that were on the basketball team together, that kind of stuck together. They've been playing together forever. That's kind of what we tried to do with some of the kids. And as you develop kids in sports, they tend to notice the differences between coaching, and the more you put them in different environments and allow them to play in different, not necessarily different sports, but in different places with different people, they learn to be more coachable. They react differently to each coach, and eventually learn the type of coach they like. Did you have your type of coaching style that you liked? Like, what can you describe your type of coaching style?
I've always tried to keep it as level-headed as possible. Okay. Like, I didn't like to get too emotional. Yeah, there's going to be times you do it because, especially in like a basketball game or something, or, a bad call happens in softball and it just, there is that, but it's always, move on to the next thing. Yeah. Golf is a completely different animal. When you're out there with golfers and they come, because you're not there all the time. Right. Right. You have 10 golfers on the course and you can't, but you get one calls you over and they need help with something. And if they're looking for advice, I always tell them, I'm not going to tell you what you should do. Yep. Here are the 3 options. You do this, do this, do this.
Right.
Here's what the results will probably be.
Yeah.
But here are your 3 choices. I'm only going to give you those 3 choices.
Right.
I know you think you can get that ball underneath that tree, and you're not going to do that. So here are your 3 choices. And I let them choose.
Okay.
Yeah. Since it's more of an individual sport within the team, I kind of give that ownership to them.
Okay.
And
ultimately they're going to be asking themselves those questions.
Yeah.
Like, well, I can do this, or I can do this, or I can do, they got to make that choice. So you're already planting that seed of trying to make the right choice on your own, you know, kind of thing, instead of, hey, now you should go this way.
Don't get me wrong. I'm trying to steer them some way.
Oh, of course.
I'll say like, oh, you can just punch your hybrid out there, or otherwise, you can get a 9-iron over the tree and then you can hit another one out of the green.
Yeah.
And I want them to hit the 9-iron, and I say hybrid because I know last week they said, I hate my hybrid. I'm not going to. So they'll go like, well, I don't like hitting my hybrid, so I'm going to hit the 9-iron.
Right.
I'm like, okay, that's your choice. Go ahead.
You created the funnel.
Yeah.
You created the funnel for them to go down into.
Hopefully pushing you in the right direction.
Right. So that's clever. That's clever. I mean, and I think honestly, with the level of intelligence that, that we talked about that you have, as far as being able to retain things and knowing how things work and being able to pick up on people. I mean, let's face it. I mean, you did comedy. Like you got to be able to read things. You got to be able to pick up on things. So you got to be able to adapt to certain situations. So that's not only good for an athlete. That's more of a thing that a coach should have, being able to adapt. And like you said, you're kind of even keeled.
Yeah.
You're not. When the time for excitement comes, I'm sure you're excited for your athlete or whatever it is, but you also know when to like, hey, we're not done yet. Hey, shh, quiet. We're not quite done yet. Because that's hard as an athlete. That's when you're pumped up about something, you don't give a shit about what's going on. You're like, let's go. You want to keep, pounding the ball down the field, or you want to go and, smack one off the tee and just wail on it, when actually you got to kind of take her easy.
Yeah.
It's a big dog leg, right? You don't want to just be wailing. You remember you slice, you don't.
That's water there.
Yeah. So let's calm her down. You did a great hole in one over there. Now relax. But yeah, now you're kind of you're going through college. You're getting a lot of experience with coaching. You're loving coaching. You change your direction for education. You decide to teach.
Well, that comes later.
That's later.
There's a little gap in there before I started.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
So what happened then? Where's this? What's the story with that?
I still did some like radio stuff.
Okay.
I worked in that for a while.
Okay. While coaching.
Wow,
you're just picking up all kinds of sports data then.
Yeah.
Shit. Holy man.
And then after what year would that have been? I don't even remember what year. It was probably like 11 years ago.
Yeah.
There was a teacher's assistant or a paraprofessional spot opened up.
Yeah.
Okay, now I can get into the school and get insurance.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important.
And be in school during that time, and that made it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And then it led to this program here is a 12-week long weekend program that you can get your teaching license.
Okay. Okay.
So then it eventually, went into that. So I've been teaching this is my 11th year doing that now. So
oh, shit. And what are you teaching?
I'm in special ed. I mainly help out with like the social studies department, and I also do a little math.
Okay. Ooh, you're a patient man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Fuck, man. So I got lost, and I'm sure you've heard plenty of people talk about Common Core math.
Yeah.
But that's where I kind of left the education portion of my kid's life, because I was like, why are they changing shit? Yeah. I got old like in a hurry. When that stuff, when it was Bryce that came home with that. When Bryce came home with that, and he's like, hey, I need help with my math. I can't figure this one problem. And I was like, what's the triangle for? Yeah. Like, what is that? Oh, well, that's this. This is how we add this together. I'm like, whoa, beep, beep, beep. Back the truck up, dude. So I actually had to call and leave a voicemail for his teacher. Like, look, this is what I showed Bryce last night, because that's what I learned. I don't know what you guys got going on. And then she like emailed me like a link. Mm-hmm. I was like, you think I'm going to look at this? Yeah, I'm not going to pull this up. And you're like, and you're thinking in your head, you're like, you dumbass parent, you should have just looked it up. And, but it was so frustrating, because it was like, I can't even help my kid. Yeah. And you guys have, especially when you guys are teaching that stuff, way more patience. I mean, I have 2 kids, Nick. Okay. I love my kids. Don't get me wrong. Because everybody always thinks like, oh wow, what a crabby bastard. I shouldn't have had kids. Like for their sanity, for their sake of mind and peace of mind, I shouldn't have had kids. Yeah. Not because I didn't want kids and that my kids suck. It's because I personally, as a person, shouldn't have been around kids. So when knowing that, like, I have friends that are teachers and I have family that were teachers, like, I don't know where that gene came from, where they had the patience for that, but you obviously met some of my cousins through coaching, and their mom is a teacher, and I've never understood that. She was always a nice person, always nice, when we were growing up, stuff like that. So I mean, I can see her personality doing that, but it's like, it's just the patience. I can coach kids. Yeah. Because it's something I enjoy. It's a sport or whatever. So that takes away from a lot of the kid stress. How has it been for you in throwing yourself not only in the mix of coaching, but then now teaching? So obviously you must have, obviously you like to see kids grow. You like to see kids develop. You like to see kids you get smarter and accomplish things. And is that ultimately what drives you when you're doing the stuff you're doing? Because a lot of it is, you're around kids. Yeah. When you're teaching, you're coaching. So is that kind of turned into like a big portion of your life as far as what you do and focus on? Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, it is, again, this was nothing I thought I was ever going to get into.
Yeah.
But with coaches and teachers I've had in the past, I saw what they did for me.
Yeah.
Part of it with the special education background.
Yeah.
My middle sister's special needs. I grew up in a household. So, I sort of saw what she went through in the educational system and changes that have gone throughout the way.
Yeah.
And you bring up like, the Common Core stuff and all this, and they're changing this and changing that.
Yeah.
And, I've looked at it the entire time. The phrase I like to use, among many that my kids have heard many, many, many times is, I don't care about the labor, just show me the baby.
Okay.
I don't care how you get there.
Yeah, just get there.
If you can show me how you did it, if you just write down 97.4, I'm going to be like, well, how'd you do it?
Yeah.
If it was the Common Core way, if you broke it into tens, if you did this, if you're using your fingers, I don't care.
Yeah.
You got the answer and you used brain cells to do it.
Right.
So I don't care how you get there, and math is probably the only one that you can have that, all sorts of different ways to do it.
Sure.
But, different people are going to learn different ways and show different things.
Yeah. Right on. And that's kind of how, I dealt with ADHD and stuff like that growing up. They tried to take me or have me take Ritalin, and I spit it out. I did because it just made me drowsy. It didn't help me focus on anything. Literally, it's a type of thing where you just need to learn your way around it. It's not something you need to like medicate over. So, but learning kind of like that, everybody does learn a different way. Like everybody has a certain thing and that's how you, over time studying, figuring how you learned the best way. And then people, kids pick up on that. And they're like, well, it was way easier when I did this. I didn't pick up on that kind of stuff, but having teachers that were there to help you along. I had probably five really, really good teachers that I'll never forget, but I have way more teachers than that throughout my life. Right. So not every teacher's there to grab you and bring you along to kind of show you. So it's nice to know that there's someone that's like that in the school system still, because obviously the school system's had some pretty cool scares that come around and probably not make you want to teach. So now we branch off into a little more of what happens after college. And so you're still coaching and you got into teaching.
Yep.
There's this comedy club thing that comes around that floats by. Literally, that's how it happened to me.
Yeah.
Like I was walking my dog and Noah was over. I don't know if was it Mike's place? Who lived over there? Was that Mike?
Mike lived there too.
There's another one there. Yeah. Okay, so they were there, and I'm walking past, and I think I did a double take because I thought, I was like, was that Noah?
Is that Noah?
I think it.
Everybody knows him.
Yeah, it looked like the guy from the pizza place. I'm pretty sure that was Noah. So I turned around and he goes, Brad? And I was like, no, what's going on? I'm like, what the hell are you doing over here? Just tell me Mike was there. He goes, hey, we're talking about starting up this comedy club. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Neat. You know, like, okay. I'll stop in sometime, you know? He goes, and obviously, you know, Noah and I sit around talking about movies and shit like that. And it's kind of joking around. And, he's like, you should audition for the comedy club. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, why would I, like, I'm a landscaper, dude. Like, I don't want to.
A little different.
Yeah. I mean, I don't make appropriate jokes. So you probably don't want me on stage at all. So he's like, no. He goes, here's what it is. You need to come down. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. You know, I'll sure try it out. Walking, I go tell Christina about it. And she's like, seriously? And I was like, yeah, auditions, I guess, are like in a tomorrow night or something like that. So it's down. I can't remember what hall that was at. Because I didn't go to school.
Yeah. Was that like the experimental theater?
Yes. It was, yes.
Yeah.
And they gave you a script you read from.
Yep.
And I thought mine had to do something with a leprechaun. I can't remember. But I did that. And I can't remember who else was there. Maybe it was Markovich.
Okay.
Brian might have been there when I first tried. And then obviously I know Noah and Mike and Kyler were there. Yep. Yeah. Again, I'm getting old. So 45 hit, dude. And it got crazy. It was completely insane. So that was my experience. And I don't understand how I got it. Like, it's great that I did. I had an awesome time doing it.
Yeah.
But what happened? How did they approach you? Obviously, this is something you probably heard about them talking about it way before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
how long was that in the works?
Oh, they had been talking about it for a couple of months, and then they were looking for the spot to lease, and then they got that, and then they're like, we got to get people, and we're going to hold these auditions. And my first thought was, I'm busy enough. I mean, my God. All the stuff I'm doing, I can't add that in there.
No lie.
So I told him, I don't know if I'm going to, you know, maybe later or something, but I don't know right now if that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And then one of the day of the auditions, I had a softball game. We got done. I got back to school, and then I just messaged him. I said, okay, are you guys still there? I'll come and audition.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, come on down. So, you know, like you said, they had a script. You can do like an improv thing if you wanted to do. And then they're like, tell a bad joke or something. Yeah. And so I decided for like the improv thing I was going to do. I had my seeds.
Oh, yeah.
So I packed them in, and I pretended to be like a third base coach.
Nice.
But like mic'd up, you know, so you could hear what I say. You know, it's like, come on now. We got this. Hey, 0-2, you know what's going to happen, right? You know what's going to happen. Be smart. I know what's going to happen. Fucking strike out. It's 0-2. They're going to, you know. And I did that.
That's pretty good.
So
that's good. So that was, and it was interesting in the beginning. Because we had
no idea what the hell we were doing like skits and stuff for trying to memorize.
Yeah.
I'm not a paid actor.
Yeah. We're doing like full like shows. Like we're remembering like almost like full scenes from movies.
Yeah.
From like what was that? Hulk and what the fuck was that one? That was one of the first ones. That was the first one.
Luke, it was like.
And I was Hulk.
Yeah, there was Hulk and like Batman and Superman and stuff. Yeah, because I had to wear the Superman shirt.
Yeah, it was like superhero, shit like that. But it was fun doing it because, I mean, obviously I was learning what you guys had learned in college or what Noah and those guys learned in college. When it came to theater and things like that. Mm-hmm. So that was definitely interesting. It was intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because it was one of those things where I didn't fully understand what the fuck was going on. I had no idea. And I was just like, okay, I'll do that, you know, and I was jumping through all kinds of hoops. But you had done, so how different was it for you to do that type of thing? Had you done any type of comedy like that before?
I had done stand up maybe like 3 times before.
You had?
I had like 3 times.
Yeah.
Like places you would not think would have stand up. I had done no improv stuff like that. But once we got going and I saw, you know, first thought was, okay, we're watching Whose Line Is It Anyway? That's awesome. My second thought is, man, 12-year-old you is finally getting his due at this point. All the crap that you pulled in school and that kind of stuff. This is your time.
Yeah.
12-year-old Nick to get in there and just be goofy.
Yep.
All the crazy stuff that would go through your head, now you can do it now.
Right. And not even have any shame.
No.
That was the best part.
Yeah.
Was just letting it rip. I mean, and sometimes I think, and only because I didn't know enough, but I think in the beginning, I think it was too structured.
Yeah.
I know that the game has to have a way to go. You know, you have to, but it felt like there's so much structure that you couldn't figure out how to feed off of everybody. So it got to the point where I had, and everybody had their own thing, but they had the certain people that they like going on stage with.
Yeah.
Because it was different. You went with what you're comfortable with. I typically would either pick you or Noah, because your humor and comedy was pretty similar to mine, whereas your knowledge in things where you guys could pull all kinds of shit out of your head and know what you're talking about. Whereas mine is just gibberish and kind of like mind numbing, kind of like I had to make a sound with it for it to be funny. Right. So, but I was always trying to feed off of you guys. So I would see that kind of stuff. Were you able to apply some of the struggles that you had with comedy and just kind of working through things and apply that to like coaching and some of the situations like you have with your athletes?
Yeah, I would always use humor in times when it was needed.
Yeah.
It's used more in teaching.
Yeah.
When technology goes wrong, or you got to do this, or, this lesson plan changes, or you have this set and now these two kids are,
yeah.
You gotta constantly be thinking on your feet, or again, high school kids just saying something, whether it's inappropriate and they realize it, or they're arguing. You have to be able to switch gears just like that.
Yeah. So it's funny that you mentioned that, because I know we listen to like Liam talk to his friends quite a bit. Yeah. Obviously, we pay attention, and the funny part of listening to those guys trying to conversate and having a fluid conversation, not just a bro conversation where it's just ape shit coming out of their mouth, but an actual conversation where you hear them maybe even like being genuine about something, and you hear them place like a swear word, right? And they don't know you're there. They kind of realize that it might be someone there, but they place it correctly, and you can't even get mad.
Yeah.
And you're like,
okay.
All right, I'm going to if you'd have done 2, we'd have had a problem. Yeah. You placed it correctly. I'll take that. Do you find yourself having more luck with kids with the type of teaching style and coaching style that you have than you notice maybe other teachers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that. And crazy pants I wear too. Like there's kids that
those are magnificent.
There's kids that know who I am that don't know my name, because
they just know crazy pants.
Crazy pants guy.
Wow.
But yeah, with humor and stuff like that, because especially with part of the population I deal with, where they're used to just being in trouble, or things are just not going right.
Yep.
And all of a sudden they'll be in class, and I'll be saying, okay, use this next couple minutes, do this problem, we'll come back, we'll go over it, and then the chatter will start, and a kid will just be working on something, and then you can hear the calculator going, and then you'll just hear him say, "Oh shit!"
Yeah,
and it just he
comes out.
Mean it, and everyone else, and I'm like, if you got to go to the bathroom, just let me know. And then and then everyone's like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh, I thought you meant you."
You don't have to shit. Okay.
No, okay. Everyone laugh. Get back to work. Good, we're done with that. I don't have to fill out paperwork for a office referral or something. But.
Yeah, glad that went that direction.
Yeah.
Because that was that as a kid, you're like, what? Wait a minute. What? He just swore. He's not in trouble? Man, I better place that correctly. So when you're still obviously teaching and coaching.
Yep.
What does you're coaching basketball?
Now it's just golf.
No, just golf. Okay.
Fall and spring. Yeah.
Fall and spring.
I have the winter off. Now I run the scoreboard for the basketball games. It's a lot easier.
You do announcing still, correct?
I didn't do any football games this year, but I'll do, I'm like the backup guy for the radio station in Appleton, and
Are you aware of our friend named Teague Fenwick?
Yeah.
You know Teague?
Yeah.
Teague's been on here a couple of times. Obviously, he does a wrestler podcast.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and he does football as well. I know he does a lot of announcing, so that's kind of why I brought it up, because I was thinking about that when you first got here. I was like, he probably fucking knows Teague. I bet you he knows Teague. Another nerd.
Yeah.
Another guy that knows numbers, like a Rolodex. Like I am amazed that when I ask you guys questions that deal with a distance of time.
Yep.
That your eyes don't just roll in the back of your head, just like, and then they come back and you're like, bam, you have all this information like spit out.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? How, because Christina does it too, right? Yep. So was it easy for you to take tests? Were you a good test taker with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had bad study habits in high school and that caught up with me in college, but I just, there were a lot of things I could remember. If it was difficult for me,
you remember a lot of shit.
If I would get homework back and it had a bad grade on it, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to study for, but most of the stuff I could coast through.
Yeah.
Like, boy, should I have gotten better grades in high school? Yeah. Were they bad? No. But
hey, I wasn't going to college.
It was, balancing, on a farm, sports, that kind of stuff. I didn't have to give that much time to homework, which made the rest of it easy.
That's the other crazy thing is that, that you had that much going on as a kid.
Yeah.
With the farm and then your interest in sports and then plus getting homework done. And obviously I know your parents, that's just about how any farm community was around here, that the kids always did their homework. It's not like your dad was just like, nope, fuck that. You need to milk, dude. I don't care about 3 + 3.
Yeah.
They had you guys get your homework done. So I know that a lot of the families were very wise with that, but it's just amazing that you were able to like strive throughout and not just want to quit on something. You kept doing more.
Yeah.
You were working on you're not working, you were raised on a farm and then you wanted to do sports. And then obviously you got school and then you wanted to do more after that. So it's kind of daunting. That's why I talk to people that I talk to, just because of the things that they've chosen to do over time. You didn't choose to be born on a farm, but
no,
you could have not done sports. You could have not, and your parents could have not taken you to sports. And, so it's interesting, the different things that people go through their lives, through sports, through school, and just through life in general, that become what I always think is just the vision quest is never really done until you're done, and where's that place for you at the end? Like my place is not in town and in the middle of the woods, and we're getting there slowly but surely. But like, what's your end? What's your legacy, do you think, right now, as far as leaving? Let's say you walk away from coaching, what do you think you're trying to leave for the kids that you coach?
Just, was it a positive experience? Were you treated fairly? When you leave school and 5 years down the road, you see me out somewhere. This has happened, whether it's, grocery store, out doing stuff, or heaven forbid a bar.
God,
they'll see you and, they'll come up and they'll say, they're like, oh my God, we had so much fun doing this. And do you remember that one time that this kid did that? Nobody remembers the scores,
No, right. Yeah.
Varsity, maybe if there's a banner hanging somewhere and stuff, but even those teams, they remember the stupid stories and the people they've hung out with.
For sure.
You just don't want it to be a situation where, that guy sucked. I didn't have any fun on his teams or anything like that. It
made me do burpees all the time.
Yeah. He was never fun. It was always, he was always in a grumpy mood. And, that's not what it's about.
Right. Well, if there's one thing I know that kids should be able to take away from at least being coached by you, is that there was definitely fun.
Yeah.
Cause you're a funny dude, you're a funny guy, and obviously you like what you're doing. So you have a passion for it. So which makes things, and number one, not just easier for you, but it also makes it easier for the kids when they have someone that wants to be there.
Yeah.
Especially even through a losing season. You've been through those. I've seen them, they're not fun, but you like the sports, and you like, just like me, I like coaching. I like developing kids and watching them grow into the people that they become. And hopefully, like you said, that one day you run into them at, Chick-fil-A or wherever you're eating, and it's a, hey coach, really good to see you, man. Remember this and now the other things. They wind up telling you a story, while you're hanging out with people.
Yeah.
That's the fun part.
And if you're, we had a 26-0 team.
Yeah.
It was one of the best teams, girls basketball teams in the history of the state.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Was that season fun? Yeah.
Yeah. Were my cousins on that team?
I don't believe so.
Was that before them?
I think so.
Yeah. Definitely not after them.
Yeah.
But before, interesting. Who was on that team?
That was like Nicole Alberg and Meredith Onson and Jessica Cox.
Okay. Yeah, that was a little after I graduated high school, and that was only like
that was 2003.
Yeah, it was like 5 years after I graduated.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
But going off of that, those seasons, those are fun. But like when you look at a season and you're like, man, we might be a 500 team at best.
Yeah.
And then you finish like 15-5.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's sweet.
That's like, we surprise people.
Yeah.
Yeah. A season where like everyone's like, yeah, you're going to win. You're going to win. You have the best team.
It's funny you mention that though, too. I mean, because you're still humble. I mean, you walk into a room and you're just like, well, we'll see how we do this year.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be great. I think Machek did that one year. I think it was the year before they won their second state title. He's like, I don't know if we're going to make it to state this year. They went undefeated. Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's not even so much that he was down on the team, but he had high hopes, but he didn't get his hopes up.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Cause you just don't know what's going to happen. But like you said, you're leaving a legacy behind of not worrying about that stuff and just making sure that the kids are, having a good time playing a sport in a place that they're only going to be at for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
So, 4 years and make it worth it.
We're getting close to the scary part though, because I'm going to be starting to coach kids of the kids I coach.
Oh no. It's the recycle.
It is.
It's the recycle.
Like I said, that first year there was a girl on the basketball team who was 3 days older than I was.
Oh my God.
So I've been there a long time.
That's
like if I retire from teaching at 58,
yeah,
and I'm still coaching like golf and stuff, that'll be like 40 years I've coached at that school.
Oh my God.
Like they're gonna have to like name a broom closet after me or something.
A chair with a plaque on it or something, right? The roaming chair. Yeah. Whoever won that day around a golf gets to sit in the chair.
I'd be for that.
The chair of Nick Brandl. Well, dude, I've kept you here long enough. I mean, I definitely want to have you back on because I think this could go somewhere.
Yeah,
I think like I said, the comedy thing is kind of. Plus, now that can I tell you how much wrestling I've been watching?
Sure,
dude. I watched the Utah Middle School Conference. This is fucking. It's just all it is a blind YouTube dive. That's really all it is.
Yeah.
I type in wrestling duels. Now I've seen so many 1990s college wrestling duels. Like I don't even want to watch college wrestling anymore. Kind of over it. So I was like, you know what? We're going to start looking for some youth wrestling. Oh. We're going to look where it matters. Right in the youth conference title area.
I am so glad I'm not coaching basketball or softball now.
Yeah.
Because, even 20 years ago, I'd be like, oh, there's, this Saturday college basketball game doubleheader. Holy cow. I could watch that.
You could be watching that.
You could be watch that.
Yeah.
If I was doing that now with like ESPN Plus and stuff, it's like, oh man, at 5:00 on Thursday is Southeast Louisiana State playing Louisiana Monroe. I'm going to watch that. I would just be watching basketball.
It's ruining everybody. The internet has ruined everyone.
There's just too much. They televise everything now, and it's like
they talk about us being aliens, like turning into like what we think aliens look like because we're set. We don't do anything. Like we can just do everything with our brains. We don't have to physically do anything. Yeah. I don't think we're going to look like that.
No,
I think we're going to look like giant blobs.
Yeah, it's going to go the other way.
Yes.
It's not going to be it's going to be a smaller head.
Right.
You're going to have to roll somewhere.
Yes, immobile blobs. And we'll all be on hover-rounds because we can't walk.
No.
And rolling, you're going to get dirty rolling everywhere. So you literally would need I call it the Deagle chair.
Yeah.
Mrs. Deagle from Gremlins.
Yeah.
You need a Deagle chair to pick you up. Chair goes underneath you and the Deagle chair puts you down.
There you go.
And the Deagle chair actually attaches to the wheels. It's part of the system.
Holy cow.
I just invented that.
Yeah, you better patent that right now. It's recorded, so
it's mine.
Stamp it.
Yep. Was that Licks Stampsies? I don't know what that one is. All right, man. We gotta get crashing. I'm gonna play with this. Jason Winans, his son wrestled. His son graduated.
Yeah.
He's the guy who put the Celtic cross on my back. 920 Tattoos. 920 Tattoos sponsors the show.
No, perfect.
I gotta bring these guys up. So he did this song. He's also used to be in a band. It worked out great, and he did a great job. And I'm going to keep that around for a really, really long time. He also did the tattoo, and then my hat here.
Okay, yeah.
This is from 920 Hat Company.
Okay.
I'm doing a lot of 920 shit. No, I'm sorry. It's Winans Tattoo Company is called Appleton Tattoo Company,
okay.
not 920.
Okay.
But he's still a 920 phone number.
All right.
And it's on the website. And it's also on Google when you Google Appleton Tattoo.
You can find it.
Yep. 920 Hat Company. Trevor does a great job. But Nick, I appreciate you joining me, man.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is great.
I know it's been a long time, and I think it's been way too long.
Yes.
So when I tell you that we're gonna have you back on, like full force, and we'll like maybe talk about maybe like some football coming up or whatever, and I'll bring some wrestling shit up.
Perfect.
And we could just make banter and just talk just like we used to.
I'm all for it.
All right, guys, this has been the Vision Quest podcast. This has been Nick Brandl.
Hey.
Golf coach at Oshkosh West, teacher at Oshkosh West, comedian extraordinaire. You doing any stand-up?
November 3rd and 10th. Actually, November 10th at the Time Theater in Oshkosh.
Shut the front fucking door, dude.
We'll be there.
That's awesome.
Hosting for Kostaki Economopoulos.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It is.
I have much respect to that guy for having that name. High five to that guy. Go check him out at the Time Theater when? What'd you say?
It'll be November 10th, 7 p.m. FoxValleyComedy.com. You can get tickets.
Dude, I'll make sure I put that on the episode too.
Bingo.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick.
You bet.
Peace.
All of our episodes are brought to you by Appleton Tattoo, located at 117 South Appleton Street in Appleton, Wisconsin, right off the main drag on College Avenue. You can't miss them. I've had some work done. I have a Celtic cross that covers my back that was done by Jason. We're not done yet. Jason Winans and crew, the artists that he have there, those guys are the best in the Fox Valley. They are definitely one to go to if it's something that you've just been kind of throwing around. They'll make you feel comfortable. It's a very clean environment, very nice crew, and very willing to get done whatever you need done when you need it done. You can message them on Facebook. I know they're on Facebook. You can give them a call at 920-604-8289 and get in touch with Jason Winans and crew at Appleton Tattoo, located again in Appleton, Wisconsin at 117 South Appleton Street, right in Appleton. Very flexible hours, great crew, clean environment again. I would not send you anywhere else except for these guys. Appleton Tattoo.